Celia Flagella. Better known to fans of unpopular music as That Ugly Bird with the Moustache, Celia Flagella is frequently recognised by musical aficionados, but not by anybody else, as one of the least creative, yet most perverted, artists ever to disgrace the stage. Not only are her works notable for lack of musicality, they are also remarkable for the bad feelings they conjure within the listener and the curious aftertaste left in the mouth of those who foolishly sing along with them. A recent study by the New York Institute for Research into Pointless Issues suggests that listening to as little as a single note of Flagella's music can produce feelings of nausea, irritation, and boredom. This may be complete bollocks, of course, but it's still best not to try it, isn't it? Celia Flagella was born in Wanqui, a small town in Zimbabwe, where music is commonly characterised by an annoyingly repetitive approach, with few musical embellishments other than the occasional fart and ecstatic moan. Her particular style deviated from every other form of music in several ways, and was notable for the minimal use of pitch, rhythm, and harmony. It is of little interest, therefore, that her most distinctive innovation was the one-key tuning, much ignored by generations of more sensible musicians. Flagella learned this tuning, which came to bear the name of her hometown, from an anti-musician named Lesbian, who had herself picked it up from the amateur taxidermist and stigmatic T-Bone Tawdry. Historian William Lyer claims in his book Don't Believe a Word that Bion picked up many tawdry things, but no one was ever quite sure what he meant by that. In one-key tuning, the strings are tuned to E, B sharp, C, F, H, and E sharp. The result of this tuning is an off-key sound with an unmistakably shite undercurrent. A sound that can be heard most vividly in the bottom-scraping bass notes and irritating ascending treble figures of Flagella's My Woman's Cunning. Though Flagella used this tuning sparingly, only half a song was ever performed in this or any other tuning, the strikingly ethereal shitness it produced is, thankfully, so unique that Flagella is the only artist to be associated with it. The one-key tuning is Flagella's, and Flagella's alone. Fortunately, everybody else has more sense. In addition to the H minor melancholia of the one-key tuning, Flagella created other annoying musical effects through an idiosyncratic combination of her vocal and bowel tracts. In her original compositions, Flagella employed both the crappy guitar style popular during her youth and a toe-picking style reminiscent of a small child experimenting with self-mutilation. This produced a sound that can be likened to that of a monkey jumping up and down on a banjo while gargling with half a pint of brake fluid. Flagella's frighteningly bad guitar sound was matched by her incompetent and bizarre style on the trombone. She was bloody awful on that as well, and she remains one of the few multi-instrumentalists in music history to have been equally bad on any of her chosen instruments, no matter how hard she worked on them. It has been noted, but not lately, that whereas most artists use their skills to produce something of interest to somebody somewhere at some time or another, Flagella has never even managed to please herself, other than in a sexual way. Flagella's life and music were influenced, and in many instances influenced, by her willingness to submit to the influence of all things influential. Furthermore, her deepest influences were themselves the product of a willingness to be influenced by those influential people, whom she referred to in an influential interview as being
influential creatures by whom it was necessary to allow oneself to be influenced.
Not only did Flagella feel obliged to be influenced in this way, she also believed it was her responsibility to influence less influential people to allow themselves to be influenced by those who were most influential. It is perhaps unsurprising then, or maybe just uninteresting, to note that many of Flagella's lyrics are full of influential language and references to influential people and situations. In addition to the classic "The Devil Influenced My Mother-in-Law," there are several Flagella songs alluding to the influentially influencing influences of influential people and situations, including "Under the Influence, Over the Limit" and "Easily Influenced but Hard to Follow." Flagella's life was marked by contrasts, inconsistencies, and contradictions, punctuated by short bouts of tedium. Arguably the most notable of these, if one were trying to cause an argument, was the relentless clash between her right-wing political beliefs and the moralities which frequently plagued the lifestyle of the typical musician of the period. Flagella wasn't a man attracted to fast living. Indeed, she wasn't a man at all, and she, unlike many other musicians of her day, spent no time whatsoever as a pimp, bootlegger, or human cannonball. The absence of these vocations naturally drew her away from violent situations, as her never having been shot or stabbed attests to. However, buried within this boring devil actually may not care attitude were intensely sexual sentiments that caused Flagella much anxiety when she judged them against the circumstances of her life, or the life of anyone else. Flagella was not unique in suffering this crisis of conscience, or in any other respect, with the possible exception of being shit in an idiosyncratic way. She was a woman, allegedly, who lived life according to her own soulless, sordid philosophy, who studiously disregarded the needs of others, or the standards of society. Her life was an unhappy one, for herself and all who came into contact with her, and her music caused even more distress to thousands of people throughout her life as they foolishly bought her records, or accidentally overheard her caterwauling on the radio. Flagella disappeared in 1978 after performing a particularly offensive concert to a large group of angry lesbians, and it is not known to this day what happened to her. Some say she became the leader of the British Socialist Party, others that she opened a chain of novelty balloon shops in Canada. It is even rumoured that Flagella became a stunt double for Ronald McDonald, but that's just being silly. Whatever her fate, it is truly a blessing that we don't have to listen to her anymore, or look at her ugly face. Let's just hope that she never attempts a comeback. Bitch.